obviously now making history in college baseball, obviously being a female athlete in NCAA college baseball. What is going on, guys? Nathan Lombardi here with Lambo Media, joined by a very inspiring guest today, Marika Lyszczyk. She plays NCAA college baseball here in the USA at Revere University. Marika, first and foremost, what have you been up? What have you been up to lately?
I've just been training and working. I know everybody's kind of in that position where they're sort of at a standstill and everybody's either heading back to school or staying home. So I've really been grinding kind of in the gym and on the field as well.
Yeah, where are you at right now?
I'm in Vancouver, Canada. So I'm not in the States, unfortunately, but I'll be back hopefully for second semester.
Okay, okay. So when do you guys have to report for practice? Is that not until second semester, or how's that all work?
So they have practice in September, but it's only for like 2 weeks or something like that. So it's kind of hard to go down there, and it's kind of like going from the States to Canada. I don't
Yeah,
really want to
right.
risk it yet, so I'm hoping that it gets better for January, but
Yeah.
fingers crossed.
Yep. Okay, so you played both softball and baseball all the way up until middle school, actually, until you obviously decided to solely focus on just the baseball side of things. What really went into that decision, and what made you decide to, try to break some barriers on the men's baseball side of things and focus on baseball rather taking the easier route with softball?
So solely what kind of was the reason for the switch is back when I was like bantam age, I know you guys kind of say it differently in the States. I'm not sure that's be like grade 8. I was pitching a lot,
Okay.
and in softball I was like a shortstop, second baseman, and I just happened to be like a little bit better at baseball, and at that point I didn't know that my career would even take it this far. I was just like, I kind of
Yeah.
like baseball a little bit better. I can hit the ball better. I pitch, so it's like completely different than softball. So it's like, may as well give this a try. And I mean, I don't have anything to lose. I can always go back to
Yeah.
softball in the end. But I always liked a little bit of a challenge. So I think that's why I stayed on that side. But I've loved it ever since.
Okay, and there's a lot of talks between both softball players and baseball players about which is harder. Is baseball harder? Is softball harder? What would you say is tougher?
I don't know. I feel like they both have their own aspects, right? Like
Yeah,
I playing softball, I know it was so hard to hit for me. And I don't know if that was because I was doing baseball and softball at the same time or is because like
yeah,
it's the swing because it's like more I would say I don't know much about softball. It's more straight across than baseball is like kind of more underneath it.
right.
So I don't know. That's up for debate. I sit in the middle there. I mean, they both have their challenges. I think that people relate them to being the same game, but I think they're completely different.
Yeah. What would you say the biggest difference between the two was?
Whew, that's a good question. The biggest difference. The biggest difference would just be like position wise of where I was at the time. I mean, I was still playing shortstop, second base for baseball, but I was getting to the time where I was kind of getting beat out in those positions. So pitching was my main. So at that point, I was like, all right, I could go play softball
Yeah,
and hit at the bottom of the order, or
right.
I could pitch and be like higher up. So I was just like, at that point, I was young and I was like, well, let's try it because there wasn't many girls doing it. And uh, I really had nothing to lose at that point. So my mom's like, why not? Right.
Yeah. If you guys haven't already, make sure you guys go check out Lefty Swag bats. I promise it'll be super beneficial to all of you. The link to both their Instagram as well as their online shop will be in the description box below. They have amazing products such as baseball bats to improve your bat speed as well as your visual skills. Not only that, but they also have a ton of dope apparel, including these dope hats, as well as some other miscellaneous baseball accessories to improve your game. Once again, that's Lefty Swag Bats. The link to both their Instagram as well as their online shop will be in the description box below. So what would you say was the biggest difference between the two, game styles? What would you say the biggest difference between the two was? And do you think it at all caused conflict between maybe your skill set because you were focusing on one more than the other, the other way around? Would you say that was causing conflict in your skill set at all?
For sure. I think I struggled because of how I was playing decently competitively on both sides, but I definitely always had a little bit more of a love for baseball, so I kind of favored it a bit. And I always did extra training with baseball compared to softball. So then that's when I think it started kind of to like outweigh it, and that's when my
Yeah.
swing got better in baseball, and I was like, well, I'd rather have a better swing in baseball than
Right.
softball. So
Right.
I think that's really where it like set me apart, and that's why I chose.
Yeah. What did you enjoy? Which one did you enjoy more when you were younger?
That's a really hard question because at the time it's like I played with a lot of girls I knew, so it
Hmm.
was always fun. Like you get to go on these tournaments with like lots of girls, but it was also the same. Like I grew up in a small town, and all the guys on my little community team here, like I knew everyone, so I was always good friends with them, and they accepted me, and they didn't even think twice about me playing baseball.
Yeah.
So I loved them almost equally at that time, but now I definitely can see that like I'm really happy I stuck with the baseball route because I've made so many great connections through people on here.
Okay, okay. So, your dominance on the baseball diamond in Canada led you to be getting recruited by NCAA teams here in the USA. Obviously, you're now with Revere University. At what point did you kind of realize that this could be something that you could take to the college level and even possibly further?
Well, honestly, it was a little bit the end of last year, coming out of grade 12. I always wanted to go play college baseball, but I was always told that if I was going to play college baseball, you're going to be a pitcher. And
Yeah.
that's it. Like you're never going to play any positions. So it's always like, okay, pitcher, pitcher, pitcher. And
Right.
then I ended up starting catching because I think when I was younger, I thought it was cool because of the gear. And
Yeah.
like I just think it's cool that you can be in like every play almost.
Right.
So taking on that, I never thought I'd bring that to the college level. I thought it would kind of be something I'd stay in high school, and I didn't even think it would get to the point of senior year, like being able to play catcher.
Hmm.
But then I ended up going to a MLB showcase for girls. It's called MLB Grit. And I ended up getting picked up by Jeremy Booth, who's the program 15 scout, and he was like, "Do you want to play college baseball?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course. Like this
Yeah.
has like been like a dream for me like my whole life."
Right.
And he was like, "You want to do it for catching?" And I was like, what? Like I thought it would
Yeah.
have to be like pitching. Like I was so thrown off. I was like, and as soon as he made the comment of like, I think that you could do it for catching, my whole mindset flipped, I think, and was like, wow, like he thinks I can do it. So then I'm like, okay, maybe I can do this. Like
Yeah.
not a lot of people, I'm not sure how many people have tried to do it or anything like that, but I was like, may as well try to do it. And I'd rather fail trying than never try at all.
Yeah. Well, to put things into perspective, I believe you're the first ever female college catcher in the history of college collegiate baseball. So congrats on that. It's
Thank
obviously a huge
you.
accomplishment that you should be extremely proud of. How long did it take you to kind of get settled in that position as far as like the baseball side of things go? You obviously might have played it a little bit on the softball side, but obviously, the length of the bases are way longer in baseball. How long did it kind of take you to get settled in at that position?
Whew, I think like honestly to get like to where I was really solid behind probably like 2.5 years. I
Yeah,
started a lot later than other people. A lot of people you knew from little league that you wanted to be a catcher your whole
yeah,
life, and
right.
people's knees started getting sore and stuff like that. So I came into it fresh, which was I
Yeah,
think a little bit of an advantage because I
benefited you.
started in like grade 8, grade 9,
Yeah,
and I was like, I want to do this and try it out, and I ended up staying back like a ranking so I could even do it. Like they offered me to play higher if I wanted to pitch, and I was like, you know what? Like I don't really care that much. Like I'm gonna try
yeah,
catching, and I ended up getting picked up by a pretty decent team, pretty good team I'd say, and it's called the PBL, so it's like one of the highest you can play here in Vancouver. And they put me on like a probation, and then I stayed and I caught for these. And of course, at the time, like I definitely was not where I'm at now,
yeah,
and I definitely struggled. That was one of the hardest things because I went from being a shortstop, second
right.
baseman, pitcher my whole life and doing it and being okay at it because it was
Yeah,
just repetition. I mean, reps is everything, right? And I think I just needed the repetition. And it was a little harder for me because everybody else at that level had been catching their whole lives, so they were
yeah,
dominant there already. So having to build that up was definitely like, holy, this is hard. And I ended up going to a women's national tournament with my like city or like province. I don't know what you guys call it there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and I ended up getting catcher of the tournament. And I was like, oh, like maybe this is like actually something I could pursue. And then slowly I started getting a little bit better at the skills that you needed with like blocking and stuff like that. And I became, I think, pretty decent
Yeah. Yeah.
after a while. And I'm super happy with the fact that I changed positions. Like I wouldn't change it for the world. I love it, even though it scares me sometimes.
Yeah. And to transition away from the position side of things, you mentioned the side of things about the boys accepting you for obviously being a female and playing baseball on your younger team. How is that for you mentally, going into a whole new atmosphere at Revere University, and how is that with your boy teammates, and how is that for you mentally?
So I think going through high school, it was sort of, I definitely struggled a lot with that just because
Yeah.
people are growing up, people are maturing, guys don't know how to direct emotions. And it would be like, if you talk to me, you're flirting, or
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So sometimes there would be points where no one would talk to me, or sometimes it's like, be mean to her, like, because nobody really knows how to do it. But about like grade 12, once I had been with that team for like 3 or 4 years, like everybody is so awesome on there. And then moving down to the States, I was like, oh God, college baseball, like this is gonna be bad. Like
Yeah.
I'm just getting ready for it. Like I've already had
Yeah.
my fair share of comments. Here it goes, like committing even. I had a few things said, but you know what I mean, you can't really let that push you down. But I was like, as long as my teammates are good, that's the most important thing.
Yeah.
And I remember visiting for my recruitment visit, and I was like, this is it. Like these guys are awesome. And like that's the biggest thing is it's one big family. And I think the cool thing for me was they wanted to see me succeed, which was cool for me. So they wanted to be a part of it, and I thought that was awesome. And I thought it was cool that I could also share it with them, that
Yeah.
experience. And on and off the field, they're like my best friends. I hang out with them off the field, so it's not like I go to practice and I'm forced to hang out with these guys. Like I go hang out
Right.
with them. They
Right.
play card games, like I'm there. Like they're all so inclusive. Like if I needed a ride anywhere, like they would drive me. And
Yeah.
they're also very protective. Which is funny. And
Did
even I assumed that going down there meeting them, I was like, okay, well, the guys on my team are awesome, but what are the other teams going to be like, right?
Yeah.
Because nobody is like expecting that just to show up at the field like
Yeah.
a girl on a college team. Like
Right.
you're like either going to get chirped or something else. But a lot of the times, like we just ended up playing most of our games in Florida for our spring training. Everybody we played was so awesome. Like I didn't have one person say one negative thing to me. I had like
Good.
multiple people be like, this is awesome. We're happy
Yeah.
to be a part of this. Like this is dope. And I'm like, this is sick. Like and I didn't expect college to be better than high school. But I guess the
Yeah.
guys are more mature, right? So it
Yeah.
comes along with it.
Did a lot of your teammates ask you for girl advice throughout the season?
Yes, that is one thing. I've planned a few dates, especially in high school. I had a lot of the guys coming to me for girl advice.
Yeah.
So I guess it's kind of nice for them because they can just ask me any questions and I
Right.
can try to help them. And a lot of times, they'll be into my friends, so it's kind of easy for me.
Yeah.
So I can just like I help on both sides. It's like the duel. I'm like the middleman,
Yeah.
which I think it's fun for me. So that's what I do a lot of. I started TikToking and stuff like that. So
Okay.
and I make funny jokes about it on there because it's like, do you want me to make the reservation or you? Like, do you want me to
Yeah.
call her? Like, what did you do this time? Like,
Right.
I'm always like repairing the damage. I'm like
Yeah.
damage control basically.
That's awesome. So like I mentioned a bit earlier, you're obviously now making history in college baseball. Obviously being a female athlete in NCAA college baseball, and being behind the plate in particular. What does that all mean to you, knowing that all of this these mental struggles and hard work is finally paying off?
God, I don't even know how to sum that up. I think it means the world to me that finally, I don't know, it's like seeing everything come forward almost. I put so much time and energy into this, and even seeing like inspiring other people
Yeah.
to continue in college baseball. And I think that was one of my hardest things was going into this. It was like, wow, I could really mess this up for other people. So there was a
Right.
lot of pressure on me in that sense because I was like, what if I go into this and I don't do well and I struggle? What about all
Yeah.
those other girls that want to play positions? No one's going to take the risk. You need to make like your first impression. It needs to be good, right?
Right. Yeah.
So I think going through and having a pretty successful, even though it was only like 10 games or so, I feel super confident about it, and I'm super happy of where I stand right now with college, and I'm excited for next year.
Yeah, you mentioned the inspiring side of things. I want to get into that a little bit right now. What would you say to maybe any younger female athletes, trying to get to the position that you are at right now with college baseball with men?
Oh God, I would say first of all, don't ever let anybody tell you that you can't do it. I think that if they think your dream is normal, then it needs to be crazier because it's
Yeah,
only crazy till it's done, right?
yeah,
So I think going into it with that and don't let anybody tear you down. And if you have a dream, go for it. And I think if you put enough time and energy into anything you do, that you'll be successful.
yeah. And one more thing I want to bring up before we get into the rapid fire segment. You're now getting interview requests and appearance requests from MLB players such as Trevor Bauer. What was that whole experience like, knowing that you're inspiring people so much to the point where you're getting asked from people at that level where you want to be at that major league level, like with players like Trevor Bauer? What's that like, and how much does that mean to you?
It's everything. I mean, it's crazy to go from like small town kind of thing to like all of a
Yeah,
sudden talking to big name people. I never thought that I would sit across even from like anything to talk to him or any of
yeah,
the other guys that I've been friends with or trained with. So I think it's been a super cool opportunity that I never would have gotten to do that if I didn't do this. So just the journey so far has been so unreal, and like everyone I've talked to is amazing, and I'm so excited for the future and of more people that I can talk to as well. But Trevor was unreal. I hope that I can become closer friends with him too, because he's an awesome guy and is
yeah,
super smart and amazing on the mound. So
yeah.
I think that was pretty cool for me.
Yeah, most definitely. That's awesome. Congrats on that. And
Thank
uh,
you.
yeah, to wrap it up, let's kick it off, or let's wrap it up with the rapid fire. First and foremost, who do you say you mold your game after behind the dish at the MLB level?
Whew, this is a hard one for me. I wouldn't say it's hard because it's hard to compare myself to that because I think girls' bodies and guys' bodies are really different. So I've
Yeah,
never really been able to like look, but I can't name one at the time. But I always was a fan of Russell Martin, just of
okay.
him playing for the Blue Jays and
Yep,
stuff like that. So I've always kind of looked up to him in that matter. So I think he's
yeah,
super awesome behind the plate, and I've definitely taken a few pointers from him.
yep. Most memorable moment of playing.
When I got my first college hit,
Okay. Favorite food.
sushi has to be
Okay.
sushi.
And to wrap it up, where do you see yourself in 5 years from now?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, I'm kind of all over the place right now. I definitely know what I want to do in the future is I want to continue playing for the women's national team, fingers crossed,
Yeah,
hopefully. And then I either want to be playing like internationally or, even try for something higher than that. But most of all, I want to do MLB hosting sort of stuff, like on-field interviews. So I'm
yeah,
hoping that in a couple of years I can continue to follow and pursue my baseball career as well as keep it in my life that
right.
way as a
Yeah,
career. That's
yeah,
mostly why I started catching up with Marika. And I love what you're doing here. Is that what you want to do in the future, or you want to do hosting or something?
yeah. Hopefully, something along the lines of sideline reporting in the MLB, something along
That's
those lines.
awesome. I love it.
Yep, thank you. And that wraps up everything I have for you, Marika. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to make this happen. And congrats on everything so far. And there's definitely more accolades to come. And just a huge props to you for going this far with college baseball and inspiring so many. And stay safe and healthy.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks for having me on. I really love your, I don't know what these are called, podcasts, or they're like videos. I do the same thing. So I know how much time and effort are put into them. So I really appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, thank you.